Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Infinite Cup podcast. I am your host, Robert Breton. This episode is all about breathing, meditation, our conscious way to activate our most optimal self. This is so huge. As you know, I'm a certified Raja yoga instructor. Meditation is really what yoga is all about. That's what my friend Niraj and I connected here with. He invented the SOMA technique, a way to really grasp the full yogic benefits of pranayama, the real teachings of yoga. This is awesome interview. We really connected on all things yoga, spirituality, getting into his journey, how he got into creating the SOMA technique and forming a new life by changing the way you think, the power of subconscious energy, the power of frequency, the power of meditation, using these tools to activate our most authentic self. Guys, this is really important, as far as things that I've learned, in my life that I experienced and, I practice every single day. And it's just awesome to connect with like-minded individuals. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for supporting the podcast. You can always use the affiliate links on theinfinitecup.com. This is the best way to support the show. Every link that you use there, you get a discount, and obviously the products are legit. I use these products almost every single day. I have 10% off Earth Runners on there. The grounding sandals are amazing. Everything from the Daily Green Boost, barley grass powder that I use. You guys check out the links. Save yourself some money. It's just a win-win. Thank you for leaving a review on iTunes. This podcast is growing so fast. Everything that I'm doing is just being received with love, and I just want to send that love right back to you guys. So thank you again for being here. And without any further ado, here's Niraj with the SOMA breathing technique.
Let's do this.
All right. Well, wonderful. Yeah. So welcome to the show. SOMA breathwork is something that, like I said, I found online. I'm really inspired to connect with you. And first of all, we can just talk about like the introduction, just your story, kind of a little bit of how all of this happened for you in your life and becoming, just the amazing instructor that you are, and just talking about SOMA and giving kind of people a brief introduction into that. And then we can dive into it from there.
Yeah, certainly. So let's talk about, then the evolution of how I came up with SOMA and how it's become a big movement. It really began when I had a big crisis moment in my life, like several years ago in 2011. I had healed myself successfully from a chronic illness. And it was that journey of healing myself without medication that really enlightened me to the power of breath work. And as a powerful tool, when combined with a few different elements, which we've got in SOMA, to rebalance, reharmonize the system, physiology, nervous system, and to also propel you into states of motivation, high states of, just basically being able to get things done and be in your flow. And what happened was, if you look at my life before that, I was actually a community pharmacist. I was working a very stressful job. I was in the wrong environment. And the essence of SOMA, really what it's about is you become your environment. And this has now been shown, through all kinds of genetic studies, epigenetic studies, that we're not defined by our genes. So genes get switched on and off. So you can't say we're a victim of the genes, because actually we have the power to change and transform. That's a great thing. We may have a propensity to go into one or two areas, different areas, but ultimately we do have some power to change who we are from within. Yes. And it's the internal world that becomes the external world. So, and the whole idea of yoga actually is creating alignment in your inner world with your outer world, and that creates balance and a state of peace and harmony. And so that's really what SOMA is. It's a going back to the traditional roots of what yoga originally was, which actually has more in common with Tantra and everything else, and creating a system that has a great accessibility to the mainstream, what people are looking for now, and the use of technology and things like that. But so what happened was, when I was a pharmacist, I was just couldn't believe how many people were taking so many different pills. And there's a saying that goes, there's a pill for every ill, but there's no doubt about it that there's an ill following almost every pill. And, you know, there's so many side effects being created by drugs. And me being a kind of spiritual person at heart, when I worked in this community pharmacy environment, it was the first time I realized how spiritually void this system was, and how it was just really based on consumerism and just like a factory of pushing, you know, drugs onto the market and getting people onto all kinds of concoctions of things. So I wanted to do something about it. And what happened was I ended up going to a few health seminars, and one of them in particular was this one by the famous Tony Robbins, which actually was the first time I was really enlightened about the effect of lifestyle over the physical body. And he talked a lot about environment. And he had done a very good way of dissecting down what it really means to be healthy. And basically in there, he talked a lot about this like diets and acid alkaline balance and all this kind of stuff. And so I thought, like, why not try this stuff out if it really works in the pharmacy? Now I've got an opportunity here. I could maybe make a difference in where I'm working with this information. So I started to do it. I actually started to get amazing success from just changing people's diets. I started to write these healthy shopping lists, and people who followed my advice went on and got better.
Awesome.
It was amazing. But the problem was that actually the people I work for, they didn't see it as a value. Like, you know, it's a pharmaceutical business. They're not meant to be offering dietary advice. And actually pharmacists aren't trained at all on lifestyle and dietary advice.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I basically got fired from my first job, but then I got promoted to the head office of one of the biggest corporations in the world, Walmart, to carry out a project where I would deliver healthy shopping lists to their customers through their website. And it looked like it was all going to go ahead, but they went last minute and basically decided to shelve the idea because they deemed it was too risky for the business. And in the end, I just got so disillusioned and I lost all hope of humanity. And I ended up getting hit with a lightning bolt with this disease called ulcerative colitis, left me housebound. And actually, they say God stands for gift of desperation. This was the time when really, like, I was so desperate, and somebody came to my rescue, Swami Amritananda, who runs the yoga studio in the UK. And she basically said to me, look, you've got a gift here. You can heal yourself. You can actually be an amazing role model for other people. And it was that encounter where she taught me the foundations of pranayama, yoga. Pranayama is the school of breath work. Prana means energy, yama means control. And then Ayurveda, how to customize the diet for yourself. Because actually, I tried all of this acid alkaline stuff. I tried all this raw food. Because if you really follow this acid alkaline balanced diet, and the way Tony was saying back then, which was working for some of my patients, okay, like the diabetic patients, some of the people with heart disease. But me with colitis, it was a whole different problem altogether.
Yeah.
And raw food diets do not work very well for people with colitis and also colitis, where you're shedding blood 40 times a day. You produce too much vata, air energy. And so there's vegan raw food diets, although they may seem to be healthy, they're not always for everyone. And so anyway, so that was the first time I realized actually that you should be customizing the diet based on your energy types. That's what Ayurveda teaches us. And so I used that principles, and I actually started to eat a little bit more meat and use things like bone broth, and I discovered colostrum and healed my gut using like animal products, which was like so weird, like, you know, because everything we've been hearing is all vegan this and vegan that. So anyway, then I realized actually nobody knows anything, and I need to go back to the drawing board. And actually, the yogis probably knew more than most people do.
Yes.
They're wiser. They're thousands of years of perfecting this stuff, you know.
I agree completely. There's so many things that I can dissect in there. Thank that was awesome. You sharing your story. I love just the organicness of that. And there's so many things I want to dissect in there. You know, starting with First of all, like just when you said the desperateness, like for me, I've been through that experience as well multiple times. And I completely agree with you. That is where your heart is opened. You're opened more as a being for, new information. And oftentimes we are very closed minded individuals stuck in our, belief systems, whatever they might be. And that's all you get. The universe always gives you what you want. You have free will. So it's like, here you go. This is what you get. So
Yeah.
we can call it suffering, we can call it trauma, whatever you like, is a chance, a gift, a graceful, opportunity to open up our being. And yes, I've had, like I said, several healing crises as well that has led me on multiple paths. And thank you, for sharing that. Because yes, I've been vegan over 10 years. I'm still very much a vegan. Love the raw food movement, love yoga. I'm a certified yoga teacher. All of this is wonderful. And I've went through the same exact realization with Ayurveda as well, with what you have, because people need to really take this on an individual basis. Understand that these, blanket terms like vegan or raw foods are not going to work for everybody, especially with colitis and very, chronic conditions like that. So, thank you for bringing that up and being a testament to that, because that's something that is very, overlooked in today's age, because everyone wants this, one smoothie recipe or one, thing, and it just doesn't work that way.
All, and it's not like that.
Yeah. And I'm sure you saw so many things in the, coming from a full circle, pharmaceutical industry to, the holistic industry. That's just awesome. Like, to have such an organic experience with that. And for me as well, I just want to bring up how like meditation and the clarity that I get through meditation, and we can kind of go through this as far as I love how you, in your videos, you kind of use more of a scientific breakdown too, as far as, hypoxia and just understanding the different, levels of the body. And I think what I'm experiencing right now, when I see people like in the new age and stuff, there's a lot of, different words thrown around. And what I'm certified in is Raja Yoga, Kriya Yoga, that you might be familiar with. Autobiography of a Yogi was a very inspirational book for me back in the day. And that's definitely my path that I feel, very blessed to be a part of. And Yogananda always talked about how environment was stronger than willpower, right? And that has resonated with me, my whole path, right? And we can have the power to change our environment. That's the thing. And people really are not using that as a tool to their advantage. They're just blaming themselves. Oh, I did this. It's my job, my, partner, whatever. And you have the power to just create the change right there and take action. And that's what Kriya Yoga or Karma Yoga is. So it's just funny because, like I said, when you're telling your story, that's what I think about. Like, here you are, practicing in the walk, talking the talk, using these tools, pranayama, yoga, nutrition, balanced lifestyle, all these things that I believe are just our God-given gifts that should be, taught to everybody at like 6-7 years old. And that way you actually thrive in life, rather than having to go through all of this like deprogramming and kind of, unschooling and unlearning that a lot of people have to do to get rid of those self-limiting beliefs and things in order to actually live a really, vibrant lifestyle that we're all after. Right. So let's break down the SOMA technique a little bit. And I want to, just kind of dive deeper into just the meditation aspect. Because again, for me, that's, like I said, the motivation, especially, that gives me, clarity of mind and more productivity in my business, more productivity in my relationships. Everything that I do circles back to, the daily practice. And that's the thing that nobody can give you, right? It's like, you got to put in the work. So the SOMA technique that you've developed is, I think, a tool that, for me, I think what I want to say is people, there's no one correct answer to this. And I love just, talking about whatever resonates with you. And like I said, when I was watching your videos with the SOMA technique, I can call it Kriya Yoga or, pranayama. We can have all these different words for it. But at the end of the day, we're all achieving that same goal. We can call it the flow state. We can call it, fifth dimensional energy. We can call it so many things. And like I said, at the end of the day, the results are in. So that's really all that matters, right?
Well, it also depends on what your perfect intention is of doing meditation. So, there's all these different intentions. And in the branches of yoga, and they're branches, they're not levels. There's no stepping stone. It's a branch.
Yes.
And there's 8 of them. One of jnana yoga, which is all about concentration, meditation. And actually, you could say that what meditation is, it trains you to become very single focused, to be able to just focus on one thing, because we can get distracted so easily that we never master anything in life. And you can look, this is one perspective of looking at it. This is the way I like look at it, 'cause I'm an artist. So the only way I got good at art was becoming really good at concentrating on that one thing till I became good at it. Because you can easily attempt it and be rubbish at it the first time and think you're rubbish and then give up. And that's what most artists do.
Yeah.
Because everyone's an artist.
Yeah.
So I developed this art form, ability to make music, through actually persevering and becoming good at it. Not that I was gifted with any musical abilities. And I think that came from my ability to train myself in these trance states you can get into through meditation. But so what is meditation? So let's say it's a form of concentration. Well, actually, so there's various ways of doing it. So like in Vipassana, one of the Vipassana techniques is you just focus on your breath. You observe your breath, okay? And you slow your breath down. And that's one way of doing it. And then there's the other ones, like, stare at a flame, like just stare at a flame. And just,
Classic.
and the whole point of this is just to channel your mind in single focus. And then there's some benefits that can come from that. So one of them, it trains you to have single focus. The other one is that your brain doesn't like multitasking, okay? Like doing too many things during the day. It's like having too many browsers open on your computer.
Yeah.
Right? And your computer slows down. Like if you have Chrome, which is heavy duty system, you have loads of pages open, it slows your whole computer down. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what humans are doing every single day. We're powering up our thought files with all kinds of useless distractions. So just by getting into a single focus, it's like pressing defrag and you just clear the clutter and thought files reassemble. So that's why people can get aha moments like clarity and sensibility, because it's literally like the defrag of your brain. Right?
So true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay. So these are different benefits. Other things with meditation is actually you can use, affirmation or mantra to actually, and that trance state to still hypnotize yourself into changing the shape of your brain, because the power of visualization, neurogenesis is incredible.
Yes.
Where you can self-direct neurogenesis. You can literally invoke your brain to change shape in where you want it, in the areas you want it, through focused, concentrated effort. And they've done even experiments on this where they've had one group actually play a piece of music on the piano over and over again and then map their brains, and then they had another group of people just imagine playing that piece of music over and over again, and they had the same changes in the shape of the brain, and those two groups were able to play that piece of music fairly well after a while. So what's going on here? That the brain can't tell the difference between the real and imagined world. Mm-hmm. And so then there's another evolution of meditation is that actually, after all, everything on the inside is on the outside. So why not work on the inner self first?
Yeah. And
through the inner world, if we can change the way we react to things and what we need to make us feel happy. If we can make less requirements to be happy, we will be more happy throughout life because we need less things.
I agree.
So the wanting and needing less things is usually what makes us happy. Because when we strive to have everything, all the material possessions, all of the goals, all of the aspirations, all of the things that our neighbors have got, the technology and all that, and the perfect relationship, the perfect partner, all this, that's when we ultimately become unhappy. So if we can just be content with what we've got on the inside, then our outside world suddenly changes, our perception of it changes. And we start to attract actually things that we want.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
And it's really weird how that works. So just got to create an alignment. And Michael Singer is a great guy. He talks to me about this. And he became like a billionaire, just creating this system of just surrendering to life and accepting the flow of it. And rather than changing other people and environments to suit what he thought he would make him happy, he just made himself happy from within. And through that, the world evolved in very mysterious, amazing ways. Fun of it. And it was full of challenges, but it was still like quite a fantastic story. And same things happened with me. Is the more I've learned to just be happy from within, the more life has just gone on this crazy journey of positive excitement.
Oh, it's beautiful.
The vibration you create within, it kind of creates the environment outside.
Exactly.
And so, yeah.
No, I'm just saying it's so many things to unpack there. The one thing that I just want to bring up is the word law of attraction, right? It's something that comes up over and over again. As you mentioned that, I mean, for me, it's a very ancient yogic technique that has just been repopularized in the form of the law of attraction, which is awesome, 100% effective tool working. Just circling back to meditation and the SOMA technique, I just want to say and correct me if I'm wrong here, from my standpoint, you mentioned all three. We don't have to like categorize them or anything. I would just call them like level one is that single pointed focus, like getting your attention from, yourself, like getting away from the distractions and getting that single pointed focus developed, right? Level two is now you have the single pointed focus and you can bring in affirmations, mantras, things to rewire the subconscious mind, actually use it to your advantage and take conscious action, right? And level three is it just is like, that's where your state is, because you're the way I look at it is, most people are living by the subconscious. It's, repetitive thinking, programs, daily jobs, like literally the same exact thing, Groundhog's Day, playing out every day. And that's why people are not happy. People are, suffering because of it. So meditation, concentration, these tools in especially what I would say the affirmations and mantras, and we can get into the scientific part because I can geek out and I love frequency, using, frequency music tool, like specific frequencies, specific, attributes to add to your meditation practice to manifest certain things that you want in your life, whether it's a chakra imbalance, whether it's things that's like, material, like anything that you want in life can be attained when you understand this law of attraction, resonant frequency, and it's something that matching a vibrational point rather than this like constant, like you're saying with I just call it the small self, right? The ego that's just constantly like, wanting things, wanting, sense gratification of whatever sort. And it's just like, once that kind of quiets down, then the clarity of what we really want in life comes through. And it's not what you might think on the surface. It's usually a much deeper, process that has to go through. And for me, it's something like yourself, like every day, this is a daily practice, right? That's why I created my channel, The Infinite Cup. This is like an infinite, like it doesn't stop here. I play frequency meditation music every day. I'm every day structuring my brain. So like, this is a conscious act here. Like I had to literally change the way I think in order to manifest what I want in my current reality now that wasn't happening in the past. So let's talk about that for you. How did you, do that as far as, rewiring the subconscious and getting into that, state where you can actually start manifesting what you want?
So there's a really good book by Joseph Murphy, which was written in the 1940s, called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And he actually was a Christian who actually embraced a lot of the Eastern philosophies and practices, and he did a lot of yoga and things like that, and he combined some of the Christian belief systems with the Indians, and he wrote this amazing book, Power of the Subconscious Mind, which demystifies a lot of like this mantras and stuff that people sing in the East and things like that. And really what it is incantations. Incantations are like spells for your mind. And Napoleon Hill also talks about a lot about this as well. And a lot of the the most successful people in the world, not a lot of them, but that I know,
most of them, I would say. I mean,
quite a
Tony
few
Robbins, everybody,
use some kind of incantation or spell, which is like a positive affirmation that you say. Yogananda was big on this as well.
Oh yeah.
And so what's going on is, I really believe is, when you go into that state of single focus, you get connected to the subconscious mind. And in SOMA, this is the breath retention phase, when you're holding your breath. It's also known as kumbhaka and pranayama, where you still the thoughts to a point, because you stop breathing, press pause on your breath, and you go into this deep meditative state. It's that trance state where, when you use power visualization or a mantra or an affirmation, you can literally make an imprint in your brain. Now, you don't have to even do it. You could have an instructor So we have instructors in SOMA, and we train them on how to deliver these powerful like journeys where they are literally re-imprinting the person in these meditative states to make them more empowered and make them like feel more gratitude, more bliss, more peace, or to remove negative blocks, limiting beliefs. And it's amazing. It's so therapeutic, so powerful, and it's like a dynamic form of hypnotherapy. And I think this is like where hypnotherapy probably originates from, actually. These old German scientists, actually, who evolved, like Mesmer and people like that. They were known to have studied like yogis and what they were doing with trance states. And so I believe what I've done is I've just taken like some very powerful practices from our modern world, hypnotherapy, and combined it with these ancient protocols in an accessible way, where you're really, what you're doing is you're reprogramming the operating system, which is your mind. So if you imagine that you are a supercomputer, your mind is like this powerful operating system, right? Obviously, over time, it's going to be programmed. And those programs are functions that you repeat habitually, and these are your behaviors. Now, in order to reprogram, re-imprint these behaviors, you've got to become your own software program or allow somebody to program it, which that's what hypnotherapists do. So if you have like a trigger, for example, say you go into public places and you just can't be in public, you're never going to progress in your life. You're not going to go that far in this modern world if you have serious agoraphobia. So that's a trigger, fear of public. That's an extreme example. And some people have like problems which just sabotage their everything, like which is like somebody chews their food too loudly, they can't be around them, so they go crazy over them. Somebody doesn't close the door, little small things that happen every day. Mm-hmm. These annoying things which most people like can tolerate, but there's a lot of people who can't tolerate very simple things, and these are triggers that have imprinted at a young age, and they're holding them back. And they could also be associated like limiting beliefs over money and self-worth and things like that. Now, using the SOMA technique I've developed, you can re-imprint all of that. You can wipe the slate clean. And we have various journeys that help you do that over a progressive.
That's wonderful. I totally believe in the guided meditation too. It's totally different than the individual experience, especially in the beginning, because it's important to understand what these states feel like. I personally, I do a lot of coaching too, and what you're saying is 100%. Like I would say, everybody has self-limiting beliefs. Everybody has programs. Everybody has some sort of subconscious brainwave that is keeping them in control, and that's whether you're aware of it or not. So that's why this is a daily practice, because, like I said, this is infinite. It's like, the way I put it, it's like what you think you can accomplish is like a fraction of the potential. Like the things I have in my life now, I did not even think of, because the universe has provided me with something that is way more profound and more expansive than I could even comprehend. And it's more of like, if we can just get out of the way, like that small little self, and tap into our higher self, right? Which is like, or, we can call it the intuition. It's like, the way I look at it, it's like you're either, living those subconscious beliefs, you're living these programs out, or you're being guided by your higher self and your intuition. Those are the options, basically.
That's right.
This technique, SOMA meditation, this is how you activate the intuition, the higher self, because that's our real potential. That's what we're supposed to be doing every day. It's our God-given potential. And over here, it's somebody else's agenda, whether it's the, meat and dairy industries controlling our life, whether it's corporation. I'm just saying, we live in this world where it's very dominant by money and corporations, right? And it's like, at the end of the day, honestly, those are the people that are profiting and winning, not you, the individual, right? I'm all about empowerment, self-empowerment, especially. And the one thing too that I just want to say here is, like, you can do this yourself. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's all about you and what you put into it, right? Like for me with the frequency music, like I just do this while I sleep. I play it like in 12, 14 hours a day. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where where you can do this consciously every day while you're doing your normal things. It's not this like, oh, I got to sit down and be this closed eye yogi for 10 hours. I just want to like demystify some of this stuff, because I think people listening might be, like myself in the beginning, it's like, yes, closed eye meditation is wonderful. I still do that every day as well, but it doesn't have to be that. You know what I mean? It could be a guided meditation, could be, the frequency music, could be some like actively changing that subconscious mind and, putting more energy into your conscious mind in the prefrontal cortex, the human brain, right? Where we have to act like humans and stop acting like the emotional, brain, this monkey brain in the back, which is basically just in responsive mode all the time. It's just constantly complaining, constantly blaming things on everybody. And one thing that I just want to mention too, for me, it's like, I can describe it like I went from this, consumer to a creator. All of a sudden it was like, I was just consuming things. I needed everything. And it's like, gimme, gimme, gimme. And now I'm just like pouring out into the universe and giving back. Like, that's just what I want to do. It's just this genuine feeling, like this switch inside me that just turned. And it's like, wow, I have to do this now. There's nothing else in me that I want else to do but just give and give and give. And I think that's our true state, because I just imagine a world where everybody was doing that, and it's completely different. It looks completely different than what we're experiencing now. So for people listening, it's just, take action. These techniques work. It's something where the more you use it, the more it works, in your life. And it's something, like I said, that's infinite. The subconscious mind is always absorbing everything, whether you like it or not. And at every advantage, while you're sleeping, while you're, eating, while you're doing things, you can do it consciously or you can do it subconsciously, right? Like your mind is somewhere else. And we live in a world where we just have so many distractions, and social media, all these things can be a tool for for growth and transformation, or they can control your brain and rot your brain too. So that's something I just want to bring up, because this is a very big thing. So for you, I'm curious, with Ayurveda and everything too, I just want to bring up just the importance of diet, right? Diet, because for me, meditation and everything is wonderful. And I was, getting into this practice. I got certified as a yoga teacher, and the more, cleansing I went on, the more Ayurvedic, basically just the more information I brought to better my body, like the temple itself, the better my, achievements I got as far as my spiritual progress, because I just believe in the energy, can only go so far in our nervous system, right? Like the physical form that we can handle. So using, proper diet and nutrition to bring in, the proper nervous energy that we need, because honestly, again, we live in a world where we're just overstimulated. The nervous system is fried. It can't handle the higher consciousness that is available to us on planet Earth, because we're so, distracted with our phones and overwired, in our brains neurochemically.
Well, you got to imagine your physical body's like the hard disk. So if you want to go from a PC to a Mac, you've got to literally upgrade the hard disk completely. So, and that's what the biggest thing for me was, like, when your health goes, then that's really all you've got is your physical health. Once that goes, life really becomes difficult, very much a challenge. So that's the first foundation. You've got to get your physical body into check. And your mind and your physical body, they're all related. In SOMA, the philosophy is that you become your environment, and your body is your mind. Your mind and body are one. They're not disconnected. Like, one of the biggest mistakes of the Western philosophy is when the separation of mind from body happened by Descartes, and it was a crime against humanity, because it created an industry called the pharmaceutical industry, which has really robbed the minds of people and health for people. So,
I agree.
So really, what I'm trying to do is really bring people back into the body and the feeling, what it feels like to be a human. Because ultimately, our perception of reality, our enjoyment of reality, our enjoyment of this journey of life, is very much down to how you feel. So if you feel like shit every day, the law of attraction is very real. You're going to just be manifesting whatever you feel. So you'll just start attracting things into your life. But if you feel great, if you feel awesome, you start to attract positive. People who things happen with, they generally do whatever they can to feel as good as they can. as possibly be. And a lot of the times it's actually they turn to drugs and they
Yeah,
take
of
alcohol
course.
and they eat things that makes them feel high. But it's not sustainable. So the more sustainable way is more the yogic path, where you eat according to your body type, you exercise in a yogic way, which is not crazy hours down the gym. It's much more a meditation really, and you breathe right. So the breath is completely connected to your thoughts and the rate of breath. So the faster you breathe and the more erratically you breathe, the more you overbreathe, the more problems you get with your heart, because your heart and your breathing are connected. This impacts your thoughts, and you get erratic thoughts. And vice versa, if you have a lot of erratic thinking, it impacts your breathing. So just by bringing your conscious control of your breath into alignment, you can actually start having more focus and connected thoughts, and you can have deeper insights. And through that, you can become more creative and more inspired and add more value, service to the world.
I
But at
agree.
the end of all of this, it doesn't really matter, because I know so many extremely successful, rich, very wealthy people, billionaires as well. And quite often that the ones with the most money are the most unhappy people, because
Yeah.
their mind gives them what they want. And they attracted all of this money, this wealth, they have everything, but they're still pissed off, because ultimately they started off pissed off. And they did everything through a place of like self-loathing rather than self-love and giving love. So the point of SOMA really is to discover the SOMA within. SOMA within is creating the perfect chemistry for inner peace, bliss, happiness, self-love. And when you vibe really high, then you start to project out what you really want from your heart.
Yes.
And through that, you start to connect with people more. You form relationships. You don't try and screw people over. Try and collaborate rather than be competitive. And all of the things that is really to be a human, not a machine.
Yeah.
And right now, what is going on is that we're just farming out machines, robots with no souls, couch robots, sitting there. Like, it really is like a matrix now.
Oh yeah.
Look at it.
100%.
And I'm trying to bring the soul back to humanity.
I love it.
It's a big challenge. It's a big challenge.
I'm
I
on
don't
it
know
with
if you
you,
know
man.
about this, but Google just wiped off 80. I'm a bit down at this last couple of days, because 80% of my web traffic got wiped by Google.
How'd that happen? Just
They just killed all the health sites. So Mercola.com,
wow.
99% lost, David Wolf, Dr. Axe,
I
all of
saw
the
the
big
thing with David
guys.
Wolf. Yeah, I've been
Yeah,
seeing it happen,
yeah,
change even with my YouTube channel as well. Certain things
yeah.
are getting demonetized, things are changing, and
Censorship
I
is real.
created an inner circle group on Patreon to help, because it's something that like that's one just loophole that I know about is like if you just do any sort of paid content or something that doesn't go to the big YouTube, obviously the big boys are watching, right? So it's just one of those things
Yeah,
we have to be mindful of. I'm in the fight with you, brother. It's the same thing. It's a daily
yeah,
practice, and I feel it. It's definitely, weighing more and more as far as the thing. I think about Bob Marley and these people. Just as far, we got to light up the darkness. You know what I mean?
yeah.
We got to be tenfold what they're doing, because what they're working on this every day. Monsanto, GMO world, Bayer, you know what I mean? Pharmaceuticals. Without even getting into politics or anything, like even all this stuff we're talking about, all this mystical, yogic stuff, they know about it. You know what I mean? They're using
Yeah.
the law of attraction. They're using all of these things too. So I'm just telling you, like,
Well,
we
they're
have,
doing it out of a place of self-hatred. Like they
yes.
probably were like really mistreated.
Yeah.
I know people who work for corporations,
Yeah.
directors and people like that.
Yep.
Because some of them are like actually friends of the family and stuff, and they went to public schools. And if you go to
Yeah.
public school, you're apart from your parents for like most of your life, and
Yeah.
your teachers are your parents, and
Yes.
you get raised in a very cutthroat competitive environment. You get
Exactly.
disassociated from what it means to be human. And my strive right now is to bring that community. I'm really SOMA is about one body, one mind, one conscious, one community, and we're really trying to form like community now offline.
Yes.
Like I want to move the power away by bringing more power to the land
Yes, 100%. That's
doing
where
like
I'm
that.
at too, 100%. And that's what I did in the past. I've lived at, I was a Hare Krishna devotee at a temple in Utah. I've stayed at multiple ashrams. I'm just telling you, like, that's
Right.
what the yogis and the rishis figured out 5,000 years ago, right? They knew
They
that
were
temple
renegades.
living. They knew
Yeah.
you had to, like, we, even living at the Hare Krishna temple, we were separated boys and girls too. I was a brahmachari. You couldn't even have, stimulation in that chakra, right? I'm just telling you, like, they knew about all of that stuff, right? And they set the environment for higher consciousness for a reason. See? And that's the thing. Like, I knew about that, 15 years ago. And that's why I chose to go live at these temples, because I wanted
Right.
to work on these parts of myself. But I'm just telling you, that's how, you're right. That's how the human being is designed. Yogananda called it how to live schools. It's one of those, it's not like, I mean, what I went through with public school, it's like how to go get a job and work, be a slave school, right?
Yeah.
That's all it
Yeah.
was. I did a good job
Yeah.
at it. I was making, $20,000 a year by the time I was 17 years old. It's like,
Yeah.
I did a good job, well accomplished. I made them a bunch of tax money and blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, you're 100% correct. I'm right there with you. I'm in the process of creating a retreat center in Hawaii. Same type of thing. We need to bring this
Fantastic.
local. We need to bring this to the people, to the community, to the real one-on-one, because at the end of the day, nobody can change that. And that's still going to be the most powerful tool, for transformation and growth. So I
Yeah, we
completely
have to get
resonate.
offline, man. We
Yeah.
cannot be brainwashed by the internet anymore, because it really is it's a mind control. Right now it has become, because it
Oh, yeah.
wasn't like that when it first came out. When it first came out, I thought it was a messiah. And
Yeah.
now I'm starting to really
I
think it's,
feel the way I would describe it is I feel a funneling. We've had this
yeah,
expansion of the internet, and now it's definitely funneling into this controlled, whatever you want to call it, sort of thing. And it's definitely being, it's like I picture a dog getting a muzzle. Right? That's all I see right
yeah,
now. It's like the muzzle is being put on, and it's happening with, censorship of all sorts of ways, and people disappearing. I mean, we can go on and on about this. It's just something where that very much triggers my, activist, conspiracy theory person, because the stuff that I researched 15 years ago has already came true, or even
yeah,
further George Orwell stuff, way, you know what I mean? It's all happening. And then some. The Matrix movies, obviously, all this stuff is beyond true and present. And that's for, at the end of the day, I just circle back to these techniques, right? Meditation. In the beginning of my awakening, whatever you want to call it, I was very angry, very upset at all these things that I was figuring out in life. And instead of bringing that anger out into the world, I had to learn to channel that energy within and focus on my practice. And the deeper I
yeah,
can get into these meditative states, and the deeper I can get my body into a healthier place, the more I can offer to the world, the more I can do to serve others. So I just want to say, for people listening that are stuck in that grind, stuck in that whatever, it's like you have the power to take action and create that change, because that's something that we have to do on the individual scale. We can't wait for anybody else, can't wait for any other thing. It's like you have to create that change right now. And once
exactly.
you get that momentum, this vibrational shift occurs within you, and you just can't go back. It's like impossible
Yeah,
to go back. I get, basically just more frustrated at these things like you're describing now, with the 80% of the SEO and Google, like just a big part of what we do. So it's one of those things where I understand the importance of it. And like I
yeah.
said,
Well, it's how we reach people. And
yeah,
now, if you type in keywords, any health related keyword into
yeah,
Google, it's all big pharma sites. It's all
yeah. It's money.
government sites. It's all It's like it's not giving you the whole picture.
Yeah, of course.
Actually, Cola was one of the guys who actually had lots of peer reviewed papers on there. He really was careful with his articles, and actually his articles really gave me a lot of value in the early days, and they still do. But now, if you type in like you know heal colitis, ulcerative colitis, or something like that,
Yeah.
it's all fear mongering government sites which tell you there's nothing you can do. You're going to just take these pills and
Yeah.
have your color on move.
There's a shift happening. It's something where I call it, like, there's the consumers, and then there's the conscious consumers, right? And the consumers that are just going to get fed, whatever. They don't ask questions, do anything. Conscious consumers are the people that read the labels, that go deeper, and they ask these questions, like, how did, like, this thing, the event that you're talking about here, it's like, if you just trace the money trail, there's answers to all this. And whether it's
Yeah,
for me, with the veganism, with activism and stuff, this happens a lot too. Just like I said, with all these studies that come out with dairy or whatever, it's usually just somebody's agenda, right? And at the end of the day, you just have to circle back to what works. And what works is this very small, community-oriented life that involves people that are all brothers and sisters, that treat each other like family, that all work with each other. Like when I was living in the community in the temples, it's like everybody's meditating at 5 a.m. Everybody's at the breakfast
yeah.
table at
Doing
7
this Yeah.
and, sharing community, sharing song, sharing their power, their gifts with one another, and that's what I don't see in the modern age, right? And it's definitely escalating into more of an artificial, intelligence, robotic, zombie kind of world. And that's why I'm just saying, at the end of the day, what we're talking about, this community, this vibrancy and this education of higher consciousness, is needed now more than ever.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That's right.
So are you, right now, I'm just curious with the SOMA, is it something where are you offering techniques and instructors to come, be certified? Like, how does all that work?
Yeah, yeah. So we have a online school. It's based on pranayama,
Mm-hmm.
but I've added a creative twist to it, and we use this music. So my big passion is music and breathing and rhythm, and a lot of it's based around breathing and rhythm, rhythmic
Yes.
breathing with breath retention techniques, and it teaches you like pranayama in a fun way. And then you can lead these ceremonial workshops, breathwork workshops, or if you want to call it breathwork, whatever you want to call it. But they're more like journeys of self-discovery, because the key thing with what I'm trying to do is make people wake up to what they truly want, not what they think they've been hypnotized into wanting. And
Beautiful.
that clarity comes through these experiences that we create with the same journeys. So we have an instructor training for that. It also allows people to then create their own revenue streams out of it, go out and actually work with people and do group workshops and
I
do
like it.
breathe together. And it's
I like
amazing.
this style. People need format with this. I think, for the structured individuals that want that format and that structure to meditation, it's wonderful. It's something that I think is necessary to just kind of hone in on these principles.
Yeah.
Wim Hof is a recent person that I think people have kind of gone a liking to with the Wim Hof method. And to me, I mean, whether you call it holotropic breathing, you can call it pranayama, like I said, there's all these words that we're using for it. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're altering your subconscious mind, you're shifting your energy, you're actually creating the change that you want to see. And that's the thing is,
Well,
yeah.
Wim's a very good friend of mine, actually. We work quite
Yeah.
close together. I produced all the music to his Wim
Oh,
Hof method.
cool. Yeah.
Ran
Yeah.
events. Yeah, he's a dear brother. But there is a distinction between Wim Hof and holotropic. Like, holotropic is one application, because what I try to show people with SOMA is that there's many different methods of breath work and breathing, and the way you breathe, the rhythm you breathe in, and you hold your breath in or out and things like that, it actually has a different effect. So it's almost like a pharmacy of different breathing techniques,
Oh,
because
yes.
breathing actually influences your physiology.
Yes.
So you're going to the core of where all the problems come from, or all the bliss comes, or the happiness comes from. And so pranayama really was like a pharmacy, like, of breathing techniques. So that's what SOMA really is. And
Yeah.
then I put a few together to create this awakening experience that really takes you on these journeys. And that has elements of holotropic, elements of what Wim does with, with his more Kriya kind of Tumo style,
Yeah.
and the pranayama style. So it's all there, and it all makes sense. The science is there. You can check it all out on the website. I didn't go too much into that, but there's a lot of great science evidence that backs everything up, and it's really changing people's lives. That's the core thing about it. It's the
Yeah. It
same
sounds
technique
like,
I use to heal
it sounds
myself.
great. No, I've done, like I said, I did a few things on YouTube and things. Only for me, what I kind of separate the two with pranayama and holotropic, it's just when you do more of the long retentions with your breath exhale. That's all. So it's one.
Yeah. Well, holotropic is actually like, it's like hyperventilating actually for like an
Yes.
hour or
Yes.
hours.
I
And
know.
that the purpose of that is like to supercharge the body and to create this, where you go into this crazy acid like LSD like hallucinogenic state. And the
Yes.
idea of this is it clears some of these subconscious imprints that happen in your physical body, but it also is like an awakening thing. So there's a therapeutic purpose to that, like which Stanislav Grof created. So
Yeah.
one of our courses is focused on these sorts of techniques. But the daily dose, that's not something you do every day. That's something you do
Yeah. And
like
that's,
as a therapy, as a ceremony. But what we also teach is the daily dose, the daily things you can do every day that you will give you a shot of those good vibes, good hormones, good transmitters, and also helps you to take control more of your mind. That's what the pranayama was really about, was
I agree.
being able to put techniques together to help you in your day-to-day life.
Yes, I agree
Holotropic was
completely.
as a one-time kind of ceremonial thing, not
I
something you
agree.
do over and over again. And this is what the problem is with the world, is that people get confused with what's what. And there's a lot of people pushing holotropic like it's this magic
Oh,
cure
I'm
thing.
I'm quite the
Brilliant.
opposite. Yeah, I
It's
just
not actually.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, I want thank you for
there's no
clarifying.
scientific evidence for that. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's something I don't recommend holotropic breathing. I've personally am not a fan. It's something where it's too extreme. There's with meditation, there's no need to go to these extremes. That's my personal belief. I
yeah,
believe what you're talking about with the single pointed focus and these long retentions of the exhale, they're
yeah,
going to happen 100% naturally if you have a sincere meditation practice. It doesn't matter
yes,
what it is, in my opinion, because it's the consistency that is the key. When you have a daily meditation practice compared to this,
yes,
all over the place kind of thing, or these like ecstatic states that you're seeking,
yeah,
it's completely different than the
totally.
clarity and bliss and joy that comes from a daily meditation practice. And that's something, like I said, I'm not a fan of holotropic breathing. I'm just in, for me, just clarifying for people listening, because for what I do and what I'm certified in, it's very similar. And it sounds like with SOMA, it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, but the forte here that defines you from Wim Hof or other people is the music, is the audio input. Can you go into
And
that?
the fact that it's very much more true to the original pranayama.
Yes, the
Uh,
techniques themselves. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot
which
of
is
people.
yeah,
Yeah,
rhythm or rhythmic breathing is the corner. So
I
every
agree.
function in your body is rhythmical, is determined by
Yes,
cycles. So
yes,
circadian rhythms, ultradian rhythms, and infradian rhythms are the
yes,
rhythms of your body. You have biorhythms. And actually, each one of those rhythms is subservient to the rhythm of breath. And
yes,
when you get into rhythmic breathing states, okay, you can harmonize all those functions. So
yes.
just a few minutes of rhythmic breathing a day, okay, and that means like breathing in perfectly for the same amount of time in and out,
Hmm.
creates this amazing blissful state
Yes,
called coherence. And that's like the foundation of soma breathing, is the rhythmic breathing.
yes,
When you do it for long, if you just do like a few minutes of that, it's great. It harmonizes. But when you do it for a bit longer, like 5 minutes plus of rhythmic breathing with a faster rate, you start to breathe out the carbon dioxide and you breathe in more
exactly.
oxygen. And this actually changes the pH. It allows you to
Thank
then
you.
hold your breath for longer. Also, what it does, that rhythmic breathing, it moves cerebrospinal fluid, which clears
Yes,
the gunk out of your brain. So it gives
yes,
you more clarity that way. But it also allows you then to hold your breath for longer than normal, because carbon dioxide is what triggers you to breathe again. So
yep.
if you can hold your breath for longer than normal, you can create a state called intermittent hypoxia, where you
Hmm.
lower the oxygen and you raise the carbon dioxide, and you produce more of a tolerance to carbon dioxide
Yeah,
and low oxygen. And that's the magic, because
I agree.
too much oxygen actually in your system means that the oxygen stays bind to the hemoglobin and doesn't go into the cells where
Yep.
they belong. That's what the problem of overbreathing is, and
Yes,
hyperventilation. Right? That's why
I agree.
holotropic breath work isn't good for you if you do it all the time.
Yeah.
So the key of pranayama is you become really good at and efficient using
Yes.
oxygen, and you also become highly tolerant to carbon dioxide. So you can survive with less oxygen, you breathe less,
Yeah.
you need less oxygen, you get less oxidative stress. And you also mean that the oxygen can actually go into the cells, because you can raise carbon dioxide to the levels it needs to be without blowing it all out. And the oxygen come off the blood cells, go into the cells where it's used for metabolism. So this
Beautiful.
rhythmic breathing at a faster rate, followed by breath retention, is a way of actually getting the oxygen to cells. It's a very powerful, very simple technique.
Yeah, and I
But
just want to
that's it.
mention, yeah, I just want to
Yeah.
mention what I do with the Infinite Cup. I do, it's all about detoxification as well, and that is the number one detox pathway right there that you just mentioned. Like as far as
Yeah.
how can you get the most toxins out of your body in a technique that you just described it. It's meditation, and it's the using our breath, right? Our lungs, like our body, our lungs is the tool. It's just, it's not, people aren't using it to the most effective rate. And what you just
Yeah.
described with a hypoxia and getting there through pranayama is the most effective tool that we should do every single day
Yeah.
to release toxins. And that's something I do iridology. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but just, the eyes are a window to the soul. And I do, readings through iridology, and detoxification is just a big part of this because, when you bring in herbs, you bring in these things to help detoxify the body, your skin starts filtering, you start, consciously breathing. And it's amazing, these life-changing things that happen simply from this thing that you're talking about. And it just, it starts with a couple minutes a day. So to me, this, like I said, is our God-given ability, and it's something how we all can operate rather than being, living that small self and all these programs. So it's beautiful what you've come up with. It's something I just think people need to understand in the sense of taking action in their daily life. That's all. It's something, again, I think people are just, expecting something to happen or whatever, but really you have to want this, and you have to literally get up and do it, and at the end of the day, I commend you. And because what we're doing is basically, making this attractive for people, right? We got to make this in a way where it's, easy for people to do and perform and digest, because it's not so, it's basically, there's so many forms of meditation these days. And like you're saying with the holotropic breath work and all of this, I know Wim Hof is amazing. And he, recently has been blowing up, and he's doing amazing work. And I just, what I'm saying is, like, to me, there's no wrong way, I guess. Like, I have no, judgment or anything, how people get there. Right. It's just a matter of, to me, the principles are all the same, as far as what we're talking about with the body and its potential. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. You got it.
Yeah. So
Good
cool,
man.
man. So let's, thank you again for taking the time, brother. So let's plug your YouTube channel. How can people find you if they want to, sign up for the coaching and the...
Well, that's fantastic. The best way would be go to somabreath.com and sign up for our free webinar. There, I really go into the depths of science of breath work and the legend of Soma, where all this comes from. And then you get a taste of our experience. You get to do it, and it's all free of charge. And then you can decide if you want to join anything afterwards. Or you can also go to the renegadepharmacist.com, which is my website where I share a lot of my like kind of health tips and wellness tips. And it really starts with the mantra. Like if you wake up every morning and you ask yourself this question, like, am I waking up feeling like I have to do this to survive? Then basically that's what's going to lead to disease. But if you wake up with passion to do a hard day's work and to get out there and crush it in whatever you want to do, that means you're in the flow. And we're trying to help people answer that in the most authentic way possible.
Beautiful. I totally resonate with that.
Be
And
honest
I think
with themselves.
that's what it's all about, man. And I'm looking forward to connecting. I would love to invite you to the retreat center, future, because I want to bring, more teachers like yourself in and do workshops more in person and really hone in on this, real tangible experience in real life, and get that being, the forte, and then keep getting that digital message out there as well, because we got to do both. We got to do it all.
Amazing.
So
fantastic.
Thank you again, brother, for coming on the show.
Thank you. Much love.